Throughout my career journey, I've had great mentors. I've had people who believed in my potential. So I have kind of switched so many roles in my careers within the same organizations many a times. And I think if my mentors or my managers did not believe in me and if I did not trust in myself, this transition could have never happened.
It is necessary to make a dream of life and to make of a dream a reality. Those were the words of the legendary physicist and Nobel laureate Marie Curie. In those words lies the spirit of every woman who has dared to reimagine her role in a world once designed without her in mind. Welcome to Hired by iimjobs and presented by All Things Talent. Hired stands for hiring, inspiring, and reshaping employee development. This is the podcast where we delve into hiring trends, evolving workplace policies, and the shifting landscape of talent in today's world of work. I'm your host, and today we are exploring a topic that is both timely and transformative: tech on her terms, flexible careers for women in digital roles. Our guest today embodies that very spirit of this progress. I am thrilled to welcome Moumita Kurup, the Vice President and Global Head of Human Resources at Saskin Technologies. Moumita brings over 2 decades of deep strategic HR experience across the e-commerce, software product, and service sectors. With a strong academic foundation in HR and career rooted in people-first practices, she has consistently delivered impact across talent acquisition, learning and development, organizational transformation, and M&A change management. Her work speaks volumes. She holds a US patent in HR processes, was named one of the Economic Times top 40 HR professionals under 40, and has been consistently recognized as one of the top 20 talent transformational leaders at the L&D Vision and Innovation Summit 2023. Momita is also a firm believer in data backed decisions, accelerated learning, and the power of influence across every level of an organization. Outside the professional sphere, she is a polyglot, a curious reader, and a passionate traveler. Today, she joins us for an important conversation where we will explore the nuances of hiring women in tech, redefining flexibility, and building workspaces that do not just include women, but center their experiences. Momita, it is such a pleasure to have you here. Welcome to Hired.
Thank you so much, Bishwajit. The pleasure is equally mine to be part of this podcast by Hired.
Thank you for taking out time for being part of this conversation, which I hope will be absolutely important as well as something for us to learn about and for our listeners to reflect on as well. So, without further ado, let's start on with our first question. Why are more women in tech today actively seeking flexible roles? And how does this shift reflect their evolving personal and professional priorities?
So I think, historically, if you see the industry system also has evolved, right? More from manufacturing to technology. So I think today's women, what they seek is, let's say, work life balance, which means managing career growth alongside family, caregiving, and personal needs. The other most important thing that women today look for is their own mental well being, right? Which means reducing burnout and stress through adaptable schedules. Of course, the career opportunity that is available, humongous career opportunities in the tech world, right? So, staying in the workforce during their major life stages like maternity, elder care, also, I think this flexibility gives higher productivity, right? So, flexible environment often boosts focus and output. Access to opportunities, right? So remote and flexible roles also open doors to companies across geographies for women. And of course, breaking biases, right? So flexibility helps counter traditional biases and presentism. Empowerment is the other thing I would say. So, having greater control over time and priorities builds confidence and career ownership in women, right? And of course, at least my so many years of experience in HR has also told me that women are more likely to stay longer with companies offering flexibility, right? So, retention and loyalty are the two other things that companies can expect if they provide women in tech the flexibility in their roles, Bishwajit.
This is such an important lens. Like, flexibility is no longer a perk, it's a core part of how women are designing their careers today.
Yeah.
And likely, as you said, open door policies, these are like, the more you make it transparent for women, the more you create also less space for anxiety and nervousness to foster. Like, it's more of an embrace culture, and you have put it such brilliantly. So I want to also talk about, like, what role does the language in job descriptions play in attracting or deterring female applicants, and how can recruiters eliminate gendered cues that subtly signal this is not for you?
That's correct. So that's another very important aspect that you have brought out. Okay. And here I would like to call out that in Sasken Technologies, we have created a handbook on inclusive behavior and languages. Okay. So this handbook basically is not only for recruiters but also for the entire organization. So point number one is recruiters as the gatekeepers or the first people that come in contact, right, with the candidates. We've trained them on using inclusive languages, both in their JDs as well as when they talk to any candidates, right? So, what we kind of use here is mindful language. So, when you are talking about opportunities, use languages like inclusivity, use language like flexibility, right? We've given a thorough DEI training, to our recruiters and even the hiring managers. We've kind of told the hiring managers that when you are co creating the job descriptions along with the recruiters, please keep in mind how do you use pronouns instead of using any male or female related jargons in your job description, right? Not only women, I would say it should be a inclusive language from a cultural sensitivity, from a age sensitivity, right? So we've kind of ensured that we articulate our job descriptions in such a way where it does not create any microaggressions related to even race and ethnicity, right? So becomes a very inclusive JD, and any women looking at it should feel that okay, here is a company that I would like to work, because it talks more about the output that is required from the role, Bishwajit, rather than is it a male centric role or a female centric role.
Yeah, this is such brilliantly put. Like, yes, words do matter. What the language that you use, that fosters a sense of inclusivity at the very first go. So unless and until it comes from the very first, I think uh, signs of communication, the person might not feel confident working in an environment, and they might get trapped into that rabbit hole of, am I in a safe place? Of course, the work might be really good, developmental for me, the salary might be very good, there are perks there, but am I really safe? I think the entire conversation should be actually more pronounced for people, so that they understand that why is it important. And sometimes these subtlest phrases can either invite or unintentionally exclude people. I think that is where you make or break it. So
Well,
that was such a lovely response that you gave, Momita. And I would also like an equally brilliant response for you in our next point of conversation. That is, the confidence gap is well documented. Why do women tend to apply only when they meet 100% of their job criteria? And what can hiring teams do to break this barrier?
yeah, that's a wonderful and very pertinent question that you've put across, Bishwajit. So,
Yes, yeah.
here is my take as a HR head on this topic, right? See, the confidence gap, whether we like it or not, is real, and it is our responsibility to bridge it, right? We've all seen it. I mean, when a job posting goes out and the applications from women often skew towards those who meet every single listed requirement, right? While thoroughness is valuable, I think this 100% qualified mentality, often referred to as the confidence gap, this can inadvertently exclude talented women who might thrive in the role and bring out unique perspectives to our teams, right? It's not about women lacking the ability, it's about a different approach to risk assessment and self perception in the face of perceived expectations, right? So, first of all, as HR leaders, we can't just acknowledge this, we need to actively counter it. Okay, and here are my views on how we can counter it. So I'll broadly classify them as three. Okay, the first one being refine your job descriptions to be more inclusive and outcome focused, which I already spoke about in the previous question. The second one is train your recruiters to recognize and address the confidence gap, right? Which means train your recruiters to be aware, tell them about the behavioral interview techniques, let them focus on the potential of the candidate and not just past performance, and also to proactively reach out to the women in tech, so that they can give equal opportunities. The third one would be create a supportive and inclusive interview process as well. So you must have diverse interview panels, you must provide clear and transparent feedback, and promote a culture of psychological safety, right? Because many a times I think women also are a little hesitant to apply for a role when they believe they are not 100% fit. So I think a
Absolutely,
little
yeah.
bit of promoting and telling them that, there are certain skills which are nice to have. It's not mandatory that it's a must have skill, right? So I think by taking these steps, we can create a more inclusive and equitable recruitment process that attracts and retains top talent, regardless of the gender, right? So this requires a conscious and ongoing effort, obviously, but the rewards are phenomenal. I mean, as a company, you will see a more diverse, innovative, and successful workforce. And I think these all are well worth the investment. So it's about shifting our mindset from simply filling roles to actively building a workforce that reflects the diversity of the world around us, Bishwajit.
Exactly. Like bridging the gap is as much about how we write the job as how we nurture a sense of belonging right from the application stage. So
Yes.
the 3 points that you listed are very much telling us that how we should also be inclusive in our approach as first, so that a person who is, let's say, from a different gender, from a different let's say if a person is neurodivergent or from an ostracized class, or from a background, that person should also feel that they are being given absolute amount of equity while at the very first stage of, let's say, getting onboarded into the organization. And I think we can actually talk about this for, like, have entire conversations about this a particular thing itself, that how it's always a developmental process, that how we can be more inclusive ourselves first, figure out ways, and also make unless and until that happens, we can make it for the other persons, for the younger persons who are applying to our organizations. And that brings me to the next point of conversation, that how can recruiters proactively tap into women focused tech networks, forums, and communities to build more diverse pipelines?
Absolutely. So, my first thing would be that don't treat these platforms as transactional spaces. Okay.
Tell
Recruiters
on tell.
truly need to engage authentically, share useful content. They have to offer advice. They can also maybe host ask me anything kind of sessions on these platforms, right? Measure where successful candidates are coming from, because recruiters also sit on a lot of good historical data, right? So once they know where these candidates are coming from, the recruiters should double down on forums that yield results, right? And I think in today's world, there is no dearth of tech forums. Actually, there are various networks. You'll see on LinkedIn as well that there are women forums. There are job sites which specifically have platforms for hiring women in tech, right? Also, I think there are companies or there are platforms that conduct hackathons for specifically women in tech. So recruiters, I think, today have a plethora of networks and forums to tap this talent. However, like I said, instead of treating them as transactional spaces, they need to engage authentically with this crowd.
Rightly said. Sometimes the best talent is simply outside your radar. You just have to know where to look at. Right, right. And like in the first question that you had said that the lens that you have provided, like flexibility, like how it has to be an embossed very much brilliantly in your organization. I think in every organization that is hiring towards a more diverse for a more diverse workforce, I think these things like the hackathons and the initiatives and the other similar programs that you guys are doing, I think it's very much also it's visible to the eye, and it also makes the person feel like yes, something is happening for me and for, let's say, my subordinates or my peers or my seniors. So I think that lens is very much important, which I would also like to extend in my next question. What opportunities lie in upskilling female employees in non-tech roles to transition into digital or tech focused positions within their existing organizations?
Absolutely. So, I think I can give my own example wherein throughout my career journey, I think I've had great mentors. Okay. I've had people who believed in my potential. Okay. So I have kind of switched so many roles in my careers within the same organizations many a times. And I think if my mentors or my managers did not believe in me, and if I did not trust in myself, this transition could have never happened. Okay. So today,
Such an
I think,
important point to.
yeah, absolutely. I think it is more on leaders like us today to give that same opportunity to the juniors that are there in the team, right? So I myself do a lot of mentoring today in the organization, as well as we have specific mentorship programs enabled in Saskin. We also have peer groups, to provide guidance and encouragement during the transition. Also, I see that, and we've created this culture of male allyship in Saskin, right? Because it's not always about women, as in, it's not true that a woman can be a better mentor to a woman. It is, I think, more of a man who can be a better mentor or equally be a mentor to a woman. So, this male allyship and that culture in the org also helps a lot in giving confidence to women in non-tech roles to switch over to technology, right, to technical roles. And I see a lot of that happening in our organization. Also, Bishwajit, our organization is recognized as the top 100 companies in India for women to work, certified by Avtar and Seramount. And we are amongst the top 35 companies who are inclusive, right? So we've got an award for being exemplar in inclusivity as well, because like you rightly said, we have people working with us from neurodiversity, from people with special abilities, right? So I don't think there is dearth of potential in any individual. It's just the mindset. People have to break that barrier that if I am in a non-tech role, I can never get into a tech role. I think everything is possible. It is doable with a little bit of mentoring, encouragement, and training, Bishwajit. I'm sure organizations can give that environment for any individual to thrive.
This is such a powerful way to unlock a hidden potential, I think, and it sends also a strong message about internal mobility and growth. And I personally believe that that these awards, which are recognition that organizations earn in terms of inclusivity, in terms of providing a diverse nature, I think these awards are these recognitions hold a absolute even if it's not the foremost, still one of the most foremost recognitions organizations should be celebrating. Of course, you have other awards from in terms of revenue, in terms of growth. These are things will people will talk about. That's how the economy runs. But I guess being recognized for providing a safe space to people, I think that matters a lot. And if Saskin is has garnered such brilliant accolades, then I'm sure it's doing phenomenal work. And again, like your perspective for something that also I would like to ask is that how can organizations design and promote second career hiring programs that genuinely support women looking to return to tech workforce after a career break?
Yes, sure, Bishwajit. And I think a lot of companies are already doing that. I'm glad, a lot of focus being given on the DEI space by, most of the tech companies, I would say. And similarly, Sasken also has a women's returnship program, right, wherein we give a lot of flexibility to women who are trying to get back into the tech career, maybe after going through a maternity phase in their life or any other break that they would have taken, right? So, our policies for women are designed around her entire lifespan, right? When is the time that a woman might need a break, right? And when they are coming back, many a times we have seen that the confidence levels are slightly down. So, how do we mentor them? How do we train them? And give them that confidence that you are the same superwoman or the powerful one that you always were, right? So I think, again, Bishwajit, it's all about changing the mindset, okay, and giving women that confidence that hey, look, we are with you in this journey of yours. The company does provide you flexibility, right? And you are welcome to re-enter the workforce. I think creating that welcoming thing and telling them that it's okay, and every woman goes through a career break at some point in time or the other in their lives. So we also have a forum where there are these returnee mothers who have already spent 1 year 2 year in the system, who kind of become mentors to the women who are returning, so that they also tell them about their story, their journey, and make these people feel safe, okay. So I think we also tell our hiring managers as well as the entire team, we make them aware that here is a lady who's going to return back to work after her break. So we would want y'all to also be little empathetic and ensure that y'all help together as a team to help her grow in this journey, right? So those kind of things, I think, makes it extremely smooth for the returning women to just settle into their second professional journey that they are starting.
100% agree. Like here, you talked about creating a commune, sort of a commune within the organization so that women feel safe. In the previous answer, you spoke about the mentorship programs and how mentorship has helped you personally, as well as has set an example for other young women dreamers in the industry. And the entire conversation has been how conversations create more safe spaces. So I think it all encapsulates into how we should come together, not just as individuals, but as groups, and create a sort of a commune, a safe space, so that women who are, let's say, vulnerable after, let's say, postpartum, there may be so many issues, maybe postpartum stress or other medical complications, anything, so that after you battle all of these, or are you battling all of these issues, when you return back to the office, which is like your second home, if you see from a certain angle, it's actually the space you spend more time in a certain as a 24-hour clock than your home, than your own home in certain cases. Then I think this sort of safe spaces, it's a remarkable thing if people within the organization, whether they are your peers or your junior seniors, they can help you feel safe. which so that's why I would now move on to our final questions. And this is a question that has been so much in discussions in the last few years, especially at the starting of this year, that the 70, 90 or 100-hour work week models are becoming more common in flexible work conversations. But how do these approaches impact women differently, especially when navigating caregiving responsibilities or systemic biases persist? How does these conversations affect women differently?
Yeah. So, Vishwajit, you as you rightly said, I think this is the talk of the town nowadays. But obviously, I think it really adversely affects women employees because women have to deal through a lot. I mean, they are often called as unpaid domestic workers, right? So, women often shoulder a disproportionate amount of unpaid domestic work. There is also the societal pressure, whether we like it or not. There are societal norms which often expect women to do it all without complaint, or further, exaggerating the pressure to succeed both at work as well as the home front. Then there are missed opportunities, right, for women, like how much time can one devote towards hobbies when they are more focused on work, and then after getting back home also they get into the domestic chores, right? It also impacts a lot on their mental health, right? I mean, increased stress and burnout. Constantly working without downtime can obviously lead to increased stress, anxiety, burnout, which can have a significant impact both on their physical health as well as mental health, right? Then there are your workplace dynamics. Obviously, it could also lead to gender inequality if you are required to work for 70, 90, 100 hours, right? It could also impact on women's fertility and family planning at the end of the day, right? There
So
could be
true. Yeah.
stigma yeah, around health discussions, and obviously there will be loss of productivity because once a person gets so stressed out and drained out, what is the productivity that one can then expect from them, right? So I think at least at Saskin, we have a very, very balanced, work life culture, right? So, and we treat both women and men equally. Obviously, it is not that men need to work for more hours and women can work for less hours, nothing like that. We still have a hybrid culture, wherein people can come in like 2 days, 3 days a week. We give enough number of holidays. People can even take leaves, like what we've called it as a hibernation leave. So they can take a break and then come back. We also have something for women which is flexible working hours. Okay, so women can choose at some point in time in their career, let's say for example the returning mother itself, do they want to start by working for 4 hours in a day? Okay, and then slowly segue into coming for 8 hours of work in a day, kind of a thing,
Right.
right? So
Right.
I think these kind of flexibilities, we also provide a security guard if any women for any reason needs to stay beyond 7 p.m., right? So one is they have to take approval from their manager, because we believe in a tech enabled world you don't have to stay in office beyond 7 p.m. You can always go home and log in as well, right? If there is a matter of closure with the customer, which is so very important. So I think these little things really matter a lot to women employees. It definitely affects women very adversely, Bishwajit.
Yeah, absolutely. Like under the hammer of hyperproductivity, everyone
Yeah.
falters and suffers. And some suffer more. So that's why I feel that on the surface, these models offer choice, but the lived
Yeah.
experience of that choice can look very different for women.
That.
We are we may be equal in terms of opportunities, but that is also not true. But and above all, we are very much individual beings with individual needs and necessities. So as
And
common.
I wonder, Bishwajit, how much can this be sustainable? So
Right.
as HR leaders, we should be focused on creating equitable ecosystems where people can do their best work sustainably. Okay. This sustainability part we often forget when some people take these decisions of so many hours of work, right?
Yeah, rightly said. Like a sudden boost of endless hours of work, where does it lead to after a certain point? That's the question that leaders actively also need to address, so that unless and until it's applying to themselves, how can it also snowball down to other people if it's not successful? And especially to women who are maybe going through a lot more than men in general. So with that, Momita, thank you so much for such an enriching and thought-provoking conversation. Like, I personally mean it. Your insights have not only I would say shed light on the systemic changes needed and how we hire, but also on the deeper human truths behind women's evolving relationship with work, especially in the digital space. From navigating confidence gaps and decoding job descriptions to creating truly flexible roles and opening doors for second careers, you have given us a lot to reflect on and even more to act upon. As we wrap up, I'm reminded of how flexibility, when done right, is not just about time or place, it's about trust, choice, and respect. And creating careers on women's terms is not a favor, it's actually an overdue acknowledgement of their contribution and potential. So, thank you, Momita, for your time, and thank you for being with us.
It was totally my pleasure, Bishwajit. And I must say, you've been an excellent host. Thank you so much for having me over in this podcast, Bishwajit.
To our listeners, thank you for tuning in to this episode, a very, very special episode of Hired. If today's conversation sparked an idea, a shift in perspective, or simply made you pause and think, we would love to hear from you. Until next time, keep asking the right questions, keep building inclusive spaces, and above all, keep hiring with purpose. Thank you.